Hello and welcome to another Demis Helen tutorial. This is going to be the last video we're going to look at with regards to the building of the track. As you can see, a lot has changed since the last video. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll have seen the picture of the neatened up track. So I have got rid of a lot of the dead tracks where certain sounds didn't work and I didn't actually replace those in those instruments. And then I've packed them into colours and folders. So bass is all yellow. Open the folder, we've got everything yellow for bass. Same for the synths. And they're all blue. We've got everything in percussion in red. Effects are like a pinky purple. Orange for the kick and the sidechain, which are not in a folder, they're just on their own. And then the group tracks also reflect the same colours. So I can see here that blue, I'm definitely editing the synth line, etc. And I've just closed up the VST instrument lanes for battery and the effects channels there. So everything looks a bit neater, so now we know, right, I want to edit something in the synths, I'm just going to jump into that folder. And really this is how it should have been from the beginning. So, the things that have changed in the track, not much. I've tweaked the pad synth a little bit in terms of its volume level and just the amount of compression that is being applied to the sweep effects here, especially the white noise. It's all a little bit over the top, so I've just applied a little bit of compression to keep things under control. Everything has got a group channel here, including the effects, and the effects is not coloured the same. Missed that one. So we'll just go in there and colour that the same. So now we've got the effects bus down here. So everything's got its own little bus channel. Now, one thing that I have seen, and I'm not particularly liking now, is the fact that it sounds a bit plain at the beginning. It doesn't sound like there's a lot going on. So, just to demonstrate, got the introduction of the bass, which then jumps into the hats and claps. And we add a little bit more into the percussion at that section. And then we add the synth line. Okay, and from there we don't have anything else. We just kind of go into the breakdown and drop it into the melody. So I'm going to introduce the pads at this point as well, I think, and we'll see how that goes. So we'll do that in this video. Let's have a look at the pads. So I'm just going to drag those across. Let's just zoom out a bit there, and we're going to repeat the same notes. We don't want any melodic change in there, and we don't want the filter cutoff to be up. So let's just get rid of those. Let's filter it down, maybe. Now with the note change, that is slightly different. That is a point. So we've got, let's just use the A, the F. Alright, we'll just use these notes here. So the F, the G and the A. Let's just double check them again. So F, yeah. F, G and A. Okay, so we've got the G, F, G sharp, A sharp. That's fine. So now we have this sound. See, it doesn't sound in the right place. Let's just have a look at the order that they're in. F, D and A. Sorry, I'm thinking of G. Y, I don't know. Excuse me being stupid there. So we have that. Just get rid of all this processing here. guaranteed to like this yet. Let's just put that back where it was, an octave lower. So where it was. Okay, let's put that up there. Just to create messing around with some inversions of the same chord. Alright, so this is a good point of this sound doesn't work in this section, especially with this ARP synth. So we're on A there as the root note for the bass. So really, the root note was in the right place. Maybe it's the D. Maybe I need an open chord. Okay, so maybe it's not sounding too great, so we'll give it one shot at just adding in the main lead. See, that first chord sounds okay there. So I'm just doing a bit of thinking. I'm not going to go in and change all that. So let's just copy that across. Right, I am going to put it down to that I dislike the sound for this section. It's going to beef up a little bit later on in the track, but we are going to let's just use Nexus. There's always some good sound, especially in the trance lead section. See, sometimes when your ears aren't adjusted, you make some wrong moves, and I don't think my ears have adjusted to this. Right, let's just bring that up to here so I know it's with the pads. We'll put it there. Turn the volume down here just for a second. So this has got a much nicer effect to it. So we could even double this up now, maybe later on in the track. As an idea, let's just put a kickstart on there. Okay, so now we can mess around with the octaves. So that is a little bit too high, so we're in a good place here. Let's just change the D. Maybe even just get rid of the D. See, there we go. That sounds a lot nicer. So we've got the A and the F. We're missing the D. The D's throwing it off there. So that's sounding much nicer. Right, so let's make that blue colour. That's rather strange. Why it's not making it blue? Ah, right, okay. We need to do, first of all, we'll rename it. We'll keep everything neat, so we'll call this pad 2 just to keep it simple. Right, I'll sort the colouring out later. It's not too much of an issue. We know it's in the right place. If we just close that, pad 2 is within the synth. That's fine. All right, so we're going to fade this in a little. Now let's just have a mess around with Nexus here. So we can add a bit of top end, but nothing too drastic. So let's just fade it in with that. So let's go in here. We go to pad 2, and we want envelope filter mod envelope. There we are. We'll just do a nice smooth curve. Just if I can grab that there, which I seem to not be able to do. I'm just getting this series finished, and I'm going to start this whole computer business again. I'm having some serious software issues at the moment. Right. Right, so we're fading in like a little bit of white noise there. But then we really kind of want to fade that off at this section. So let's just... Alrighty, so maybe we could introduce that at this point. Alright, let's just shape this a little bit. We want to get rid of some of the bass here. Just pull that nasty frequency in there. Let's just ditch that a little bit. And we do seem to have another one here, I think. Just to stop it peaking over the top there. That sounds okay. We'll just turn on mid and side, do another shelf. Okay, put it back there. Oh, that's fine, mid and side still on. Just want to get rid of some of that mid-range. Sometimes it sounds a bit creepy in the mix. And we also need to balance that back out with the volume on here. Okay, so we've overpowered that a little bit, so we are going to loop this section. trying to mould it so it's that arpeggio is sitting nicely in this mix. So if we solo these two together, let's just take a look at some of the processing we've done here. So say the main frequency is probably around here. So we've got about 712 Hertz. So if we go back here, so that's where we're putting out some nasty frequencies. I think that's sounding a bit better. So it still gives it room to breathe. And possibly introduce the other pad here. Let's just see how that goes. Aha, I understand now. The detune is down. So let's just get rid of that. It sounds nicer at the detuned level. It sounds a bit too thin and weary. There we are. So you can hear the difference. It's like really very focused on the harmonic. That's much better. Okay, so if we focus that on a bit higher. Or a bit lower. I may need to let my ears rest on that one. Let's just listen to it in its entirety. So it doesn't quite hit as nicely there. I would say there's just a nasty little frequency in there that seems to be peeking through, which is here. So if we turn that up to 30 dB, you'll be able to hear that's taking over the track secretly. So we're just going to reduce it. Let's just put it back to 6 dB, so make sure we're not making too much of a cut. Okay, right, let's just try that. Just balance that back out. maybe thin that out at the end. Okay, so here is a good example. I have totally skipped just adding some compression to balance out the highs and the lows here on the plucked stars. So as you can hear, it's very quiet compared to the rest of the track. You've got all this going on, and you've got this really quiet, timid melody. So we're going to bring the peaks out. You can hear it already. Just if we bypass that now, it sounds really dull, and I can't believe I missed that. So obviously that's a bit overkill. So it's returning pretty quickly. I want it returning a lot slower than that. So it's not having a chance to return back to full volume like kind of immediately. It's very transient, so we're going to have it towards the hard knee. So it's catching those top peaks, and it's helping the lower sounds to become more visible in the mix and make the whole thing sound a little bit more full. So let's just jump into that again with it on, and then we'll turn it off and we'll see where it went back to. And let's turn it off. You lose all that lower detail, lower in volume, so all the delay, all the little pings and pongs everywhere. So it kind of brings the melody out. So think of it as you're looking at a mountain range and you're scanning around, and then it suddenly goes to flat land, and then it starts going back to mountain range. That's how to visualize it. You kind of making it 3D pop out of the mix rather than it just being flat and boring in there. And it does sound alright when you first listen to it, and then you think, hang on, it sounds out of balance, and just turn the volume up, and it's not the way to do it. Plus, we've only done EQ on there, which is pretty sloppy by my standards, so I do apologise for totally missing that out. There has been a lot going on recently, but... right, so I want to hear this with the centre stereo, and we're going to push out the sides of this. So just reduce the centres a little bit. Now the highs I want more to the sides. About there. And the lows I want into the sides as well. There's not much low in there. And then the punch we're going to have a little bit more off to the centre of the mix to kind of bring back that spikiness. Okay, so let's listen to how it sounds with this centre stereo on. Let's just turn it off. So again, it seems to reduce back to being flat. We've given it a little bit of space in the stereo mix, making it sound wider than it is. Okay, let's just check our levels there. Right, I'm going to reduce it with the master of this. By about 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to put that before the compressor. So we get the full advantage of that stereo width. Want to catch those peaks a little bit slower, sound a bit too artificial. Okay, so the reason I put the centre stereo behind is because the compressor was you're controlling the peaks and the troughs. So if you put it before the compressor, we are obviously compressing that kind of center stereo plug-in as well. So put it after, just let it give it a bit of breathing space, because then it is running into the lead bus here, and we do have center stereo on there, but we have a compressor on there to control that. So it's starting to sound a little bit better. So let's just get to this point. This bit's a little bit boring, just seems to hit with a crash, and then it just kind of repeats and repeats and repeats for 8 bars before anything starts to happen, whether it's pitch bending or the effects. So to keep a bit of, to make it sound like it's really changed, let's just see about removing some of the elements. Let's remove the we'll have the claps kick back in there, so then we could have it again. Okay, and there is one thing here in Finder. I've got this sub 12 Vengeance Effects sub boom, so let's just wait for everything to wake up. Okay, so if we just drag and drop that in to here, add to the project. Let's just zoom in a little here. Right, so obviously there's no reverb on it. It's very, very at the moment. Let's just have a quick listen to where it is. Alright, so it's pants. So we're going to put it through the reverb effects. So I'm just going to turn that on somehow. And right, so let's just listen to that at that volume. Okay, so we're not going to get enough there from that send. One, because we've cut a lot of the bass off, so let's just close that. Effects reverb. So if we copy that over, so we know we've got the same sort of reverb tail without having to mess around too much. And as you can see, we've cut off all the bottom. So let's. Okay, we don't drag them, do we? Frequency down. Okay, right, so now let's just control the output. So reverb time, dry wet. Let's just turn that down a bit. And the frequency turn up a bit. Okay, so we're going to increase the size and the reverb time. Okay, and we're just going to increase the density. So it's sounded a bit more smooth now, rather than just being poof and stopping. So let's just hear that in context with the track. It's better. It's not fantastic. Let's just have that a bit louder before we start clipping. Okay, so we could do it a bit better than that. It sounds a little bit better, so... Okay, there is something that needs to be done with that synth. It sounds a little bit too non-bassy. So I'm going to introduce a little bit of sub back into that particular lead. Now we possibly actually... so we've introduced a little bit more back in, so we could just automate the frequency here. Alright, I would say that there's a few bits that I'm not going to bore you with. It's just adding in effects, and it's really just down to taste. There's no secrets on how to put them in. Just to keep certain parts that seem to become monotonous, just to put them in there, really. What I'll do with this pad is I'll filter that off. So we'll do that now. Pad 1. We'll go in there, and I'll probably put a different one on there. So if we put that down to there, and then when we... where are the pads? If we go into there, insert the last in the line, frequency 1, because there's only one on there, so I know it's that one. And we'll filter that out. So it will run like this. Should have been there. I do feel that is the wrong one. I'm working on the wrong one there. Aha. It's because we don't have the filter envelope is not actually cutting it off. So if we go to pad 2 and filter mod cut, we should get some effect there. There we go. And something we didn't do is we didn't introduce the pad back in here, so let's just have a quick mess about there. That sounded quite nice. There's another bit that I've skipped there. Let's just have that fade in nicely. Okay, so we'll have that fade off a little bit earlier. Okay, that's sounding good. Typical outro. We'll get rid of some of the main bits, so we'll cut out at this point those sections. And at that point, cut out that section. And then to finish it off, we'll just have a nice switch. So we could even go to the kick here, stop it, and we'll just create a little mini roll and we'll stop it there. Use the velocities. Okay, so it's a nice little outro there, and just at periodic sections we can have the kick stop there. Alright, so we've beefed that up a little bit, I've saved it, and what we'll do next in the video is we will export. I'll just do the final tweaks and then we'll go straight into exporting the tracks down, putting it into a new Cubase file, and we'll start doing some mastering. I'm not claiming to be a mastering expert, but we will look at some of the stuff like that. Just to give you an overall idea, we'll put on the Maserati. Let's just see how it's controlling it, and we'll get a good idea of what it's going to sound like. So you can see how it helps the kick drum suddenly become focused at the bottom end. So mastering can really change how the track sounds, so you need to know that getting it right, and you need to have a good mix before you can even begin. So we'll be looking at making sure all the levels are balanced out and we've got no digital distortion going on, any digital clipping, and I can't see any happening here. We've got a nice balance. We will throw that, we'll just be exporting these buses, so the bass, percussion, lead, effects bus, and the kick on its own, because it's its own track, and then we'll start mastering it up. So thank you for watching. You know where to follow me, and you'll see the final video next Thursday, and I will be posting intermediate videos from now on between, so mostly probably on Saturdays and Tuesdays, and you'll be able to find smaller things happening on my Facebook and Instagram, so keep your eyes out for those. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.